At 90 years old, many people just hope to stay on their feet. Others count the days as if waiting for the inevitable. I honestly was almost at that point. My legs hurt, my steps were short, slow, and unsteady. Getting out of bed was a small daily pain, and walking to the kitchen required effort. But all that changed, and in a way that still moves me to tell today. It was one ordinary morning, one of those when you don't expect anything different, that I noticed something unusual. I got up. Lightly, I walked to the bathroom without holding on, and before I knew it, I was already on the balcony, looking at the street, standing firm, like I hadn't felt in decades. A simple scene, but for me, it was a rebirth there. In that moment, I understood that my body could still do more, that it wasn't too late, that there was a way out. This change, this turning point did not happen by chance. It was not a miracle, nor was it surgery. It was the result of a small habit I had adopted months before, taking vitamin supplements. But not just any vitamins. There were 6 specific ones, each with a fundamental role. Together, they gave my body back what age had been slowly taking away: strength, energy, balance, and above all, hope. If you're here because you feel like time has taken its toll, know that there's a lot that can be done. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what worked for me. But before you continue, make sure you're already subscribed to the channel. That's way you won't miss any content that could change your health, like it changed mine. Let's go together, and let's start now with the first of these vitamins, vitamin D, the son of strength in bones and muscles. If I had to choose one vitamin as a starting point for this transformation, it would undoubtedly be vitamin D. It was the first one I started taking regularly, and the one that showed the quickest effect on my body, and that's no coincidence. Vitamin D is like the foundation of a house. If it's lacking, everything starts to weaken. The truth is that as we age, our bodies lose the ability to produce vitamin D efficiently, even when we are exposed to the sun. And for those who live in apartments, rarely go out, or avoid the sun, the deficiency worsens. And do you know what the price of this is? Fragile bones, weakened muscles, and a greater risk of falls. Exactly what takes away our autonomy. In my case, the difference started in my legs. Before, any small effort would leave me exhausted. I felt like my muscles weren't responding properly. After I started taking vitamin D supplements, I noticed an increase in strength and balance. I felt more stable when walking, less dependent on support, and more confident when climbing stairs, getting out of bed, or walking down the street. But the benefits don't stop there. Vitamin D also plays an important role in the immune system, helping the body protect itself from infections and inflammation. And surprisingly, it's also linked to mental well-being, helping to maintain a good mood, something that many older people lose without understanding why. Nowadays, the ideal is to take a blood test to check your vitamin D levels and, with medical advice, adjust the supplementation dose. Many professionals recommend between 1,000 and 4,000 IU per day, depending on the case. I started with 2,000 IU, and the results were clear in a few weeks. It is also worth remembering that vitamin D is present in some foods such as eggs, liver, and fatty fish, such as salmon and sardines. But honestly, the amount in these foods is usually low. The best way to ensure adequate levels, especially after the age of 60, is usually through supplements. If I could go back in time, I would have started this replacement much earlier. Maybe I would have avoided many falls, pain, and even that constant feeling of weakness that accompanied me for years. Now that you understand the power of vitamin D, let's talk about another one that is often overlooked, but that has a direct impact on energy, memory, and even mood. I'm talking about vitamin B12, my second ally on this journey. Vitamin B12, the vitamin for energy and good mood. If vitamin D was the foundation that strengthened my bones and muscles, vitamin B12 was the fuel that rekindled my body from within. Little is said about it, but the truth is that this vitamin can be the difference between an active elderly person and one who lives with fatigue, dizziness, mental confusion, and even deep sadness. When I first started supplementing with B12, I didn't know what to expect. I just wanted to feel less drained. But as the weeks went on, I noticed subtle and powerful changes. My thoughts became clearer, my energy levels increased, and most importantly, my mood improved. This is because vitamin B12 is directly involved in the production of energy in the body and in the maintenance of the central nervous system. It helps protect the nerves, produce healthy red blood cells, and keep the brain functioning clearly. A prolonged deficiency can cause serious problems such as tingling, memory lapses, and even depression. And here's an important fact: older adults are at higher risk of B12 deficiency, even with a reasonable diet. This happens because the stomach produces less acid as we age, and this acid is essential for absorbing B12 from food. In other words, even those who eat meat, eggs, or milk may have low levels without knowing it. In my case, the signs were there. Persistent fatigue, dizziness when standing up, frequent forgetfulness, and a certain irritability for no reason. After a simple blood test, my doctor confirmed the deficiency and recommended supplementation. I started with a daily 1000 mcg capsule, and the effect was remarkable. Another common option in cases of severe deficiency is a B12 injection administered under medical supervision. The important thing is to correct the problem as soon as possible, because the longer the nerves are damaged, the more difficult it is to recover. For those who prefer to obtain B12 through food, it is present in foods of animal origin: liver, lean meats, eggs, milk, and dairy products. However, as I mentioned, absorption is not always efficient. Therefore, many elderly people benefit from direct supplementation. The energy you feel when you wake up, the clarity you have when you remember names, the willingness to talk or walk, all of this can be linked to the presence or absence of vitamin B12 in your body. In my case, it gave me back something I didn't even realize I had lost: the desire to live a light life. Now, with your body firmer thanks to vitamin D and your mind more alert with B12, it's time to talk about a third essential pillar in this journey: vitamin K2, the guardian of your bones and heart. Vitamin K2, the guardian of bones and heart. If there is one vitamin that almost no one talks about, but that should be a prominent part of every senior's life, it is vitamin K2. Few people know this, but it is like a kind of smart transit for calcium. Without it, calcium can end up in the wrong places, like in the arteries, instead of strengthening the bones where it is really needed. After including K2 in my routine, I noticed that my joint pain decreased even more, and my tests showed improvements in bone density. And the explanation is simple: K2 helps activate proteins that direct calcium to the bones and keep it out of the arteries, preventing the calcification that is so worrying in old age. K2 works in conjunction with vitamin D3. While D3 increases calcium absorption, K2 ensures that it goes where it should. One without the other can even cause an imbalance. That's why many supplements today combine the two, and rightly so. This vitamin is found in some fermented foods such as natto, a typical Japanese dish, and also in cured cheeses, eggs, and liver. But let's face it, most elderly Brazilians do not consume natto frequently, and we do not always eat cured cheeses. Therefore, supplementing K2 can be a practical and effective choice, always with professional guidance. I started taking a supplement with 100 mcg of K2 per day, along with vitamin D, and I felt my body was even more stable, with less pain in my knees and less cracking when walking. It may seem like a small detail, but in everyday life, it makes a huge difference. Have you ever heard of vitamin K2 before watching this video? Comment below if this information was new to you. It's always good to know what's already part of your routine and what's surprising you so far. In the next chapter, we'll talk about a much better known vitamin that goes far beyond immunity. Get ready to discover the powerful effects of vitamin C. Vitamin C, immunity, regeneration, and more energy. Vitamin C is well known to many people. Most have heard that it helps with immunity, especially during flu season, but few people know that its benefits go far beyond preventing colds. For those over 60, vitamin C is a true ally for energy, muscle recovery, and joint health. When I started using it every day, I noticed an improvement in my recovery time. If before I would feel sore for days after a simple walk, with the right supplementation, this feeling began to diminish. And that's not all. Even small cuts began to heal faster, and my skin gained a healthier appearance. This happens because vitamin C is essential for the production of collagen, a protein that supports muscles, tendons, skin, and joints. And as we age, our natural production of collagen decreases. Without this replenishment, it is common for our bodies to feel more brittle, with pain at the slightest effort. In my case, adding vitamin C was like lubricating a rusty gear. Additionally, vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant. This means it fights free radicals, unstable molecules that accelerate aging and cause cell damage. Over time, this can result in less inflammation, less pain, and even more energy. There are many foods rich in vitamin C: oranges, acerola cherries, strawberries, kiwis, guavas, broccoli, peppers. But to maintain consistent levels, especially in old age, many people choose to take supplements. I use 500 milligram per day, and it is more than enough to maintain adequate levels without overdoing it. Oh, and an important detail, vitamin C also helps with the absorption of iron, which is great for preventing anemia, something common in elderly people who eat poorly or have difficulty absorbing nutrients. With all this, vitamin C became a regular part of my routine. It strengthened my system as a whole and gave me more confidence to stay active. And since we are talking about protection and vitality, in the next chapter I will introduce you to another vitamin that is a true shield against cellular aging, the powerful vitamin E. Vitamin E, shield against cellular aging. After seeing the effects of vitamin C on my body, I realized that there was room for another boost in my defense against time. Vitamin E. It entered my routine almost by chance, but the results surprised me, especially on my skin, memory, and circulation. Vitamin E is one of the most powerful antioxidants in existence. It works to protect the body's cells against damage caused by free radicals, the main culprits of premature aging. And when I talk about aging, I don't just mean the skin, but also what happens inside the body, in the arteries, the eyes, and even the brain. With daily use of vitamin E, I noticed an improvement in the appearance of my skin, which seemed firmer and less dry. But what caught my attention the most was the feeling of mental clarity. I started to forget less of the simple things in my day-to-day life, and even my reasoning became faster. This vitamin also promotes blood circulation, helping to maintain healthy arteries and constant blood flow to the heart and brain. This is especially important for us older people who are naturally at greater risk of cardiovascular problems. Foods such as almonds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, sunflower oil, avocados, and spinach are good sources of vitamin E. However, as in many cases, it can be difficult to reach the ideal amount through food alone. I opted for a supplement with 400 IU per day, always under medical supervision. It is important to remember that, as it is a fat-soluble vitamin, vitamin E accumulates in the body, so it should be used with caution. Do not take it on your own. Always consult a healthcare professional before starting any new supplement. Vitamin E was another building block in rebuilding my vitality, and with each small improvement, I felt closer to the person I once was, and in some ways, even better than before. Now, if you thought we had already talked about the main vitamins, get ready. The next chapter will reveal a compound that many people don't even consider a vitamin, but that has worked miracles for my disposition and muscle strength: coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10, the vitamin of cellular vitality. By this point, my body was already showing clear signs of recovery, but there was still something missing: stamina. I already felt firmer, more alert, but when I made a longer effort, like a half-hour walk, I still felt very tired. That's when I discovered coenzyme Q10, also known by many as the energy vitamin. Technically, it is not a vitamin E, but it acts as one in our bodies. CoQ10 is a natural substance that is present in all cells of the body and has a vital function. It participates in the production of energy within the mitochondria, which are like the power plants of our cells. Without it, the body simply cannot function efficiently. As we age, our natural levels of CoQ10 decrease considerably, which contributes to that constant feeling of tiredness that many older people experience, even without making great efforts. And those who take statins, cholesterol medications, may have even lower levels, since these medications directly interfere with the production of the coenzyme. I started with a dose of 100 ml per day, always after breakfast. Within a few weeks, my energy levels increased significantly. I was able to keep up my walks for longer, and I even started doing small stretches every day, something that had seemed impossible for a long time. In addition to energy, coenzyme Q10 also helps with heart health, and honestly, it has brought me peace, knowing that I am taking care of not only my muscles and bones, but also the engine that keeps me going is comforting. You can find CoQ10 in foods like meat, fish, and nuts, but to achieve therapeutic levels, a supplement is usually the best option. Of course, always under the guidance of a professional. With coenzyme Q10, I felt like I had charged my internal batteries, and life, when you have energy, changes completely. By the way, if this content has helped you so far, please like this video. This shows me that it's worth continuing to share everything that has worked for me and can work for you too. And in the next and final chapter, we will close this journey with a powerful reflection on the impact of all these changes. It's almost time to tie it all together. How these vitamins transformed my body and my life. Looking back and remembering how I was months ago is almost unbelievable. I was dependent, slow, tired. It seemed like my body was slowly saying goodbye. But today, with these 6 vitamins in my routine, I feel reborn. Each played its role. Vitamin D strengthened my bones. B12 gave me back my mental energy. K2 protected my heart and strengthened my foundation. Vitamin C accelerated my recovery. Vitamin E protected my cells. And coenzyme Q10 rekindled the flame of vitality. But more important than the vitamins themselves was the decision to take action, to not accept that old age only means decline, to try something new responsibly. And it worked. Walking steadily, remembering names clearly, sleeping better, smiling more. All of these things became part of my life again at 90 years old. And if it worked for me, it can work for you too. With medical supervision, small changes, and consistency, it is possible to recover what seemed lost. Age does not have to be a limit. It can be just another number, and you are the one who sets the pace of your life. If you've come this far, it's because you want to take care of yourself or someone you love. And that's already a big step, so take advantage and check if you're already subscribed to the channel. Here, we'll continue talking about how to age with health, dignity, and joy. And if you subscribe now, you won't miss any new content. Thank you for following me this far, take care, and remember, it's never too late to live better.